wow, there has been so many good videos this last kind of week or so. Just absolutely brilliant content being posted, and I kind of wanted to jump in a bit earlier, but I'm still, well, between work and moving and stuff, it's just been a bit hectic. As you can see, actually, I'm back at the old place at the minute. That's because I still don't have a phone line in the flat. That's being done this Thursday, hopefully, if the engineer goes to the right place this time. Because they tried to charge me 50 quid because he didn't fulfil the appointment last time. I said, well, hang on a minute. I think you'll find it's because your engineer went to the wrong house. So there we go. Incidentally, this has been on the shelves at Tesco for ages, and I keep seeing it, and I thought I'd finally buy it. It's quite nice, actually. Anyway, yeah, content. So there's some absolutely cracking videos been about, and I kind of wanted to sort of do a response, but every time I've sort of started thinking about what I would say, then someone else is posting a video, and everything just kind of evolved, as it does. Discussion after all. So I'll kind of just talk about a few things and just kind of all merge this into one video rather than doing like different responses to different things. I'll just ramble and see what comes out. It won't be anything coherent. I apologise in advance, but we'll see where we end up, shall we? But what was going to start the whole thing off, I think it was back about the start of the week or so, Dave, Cal Prime, was talking about, can a robot brighten your day? And as it so happened, the day I watched that video, I had a particularly shitty day at work. Very busy, and also trying to sort out a lot of issues that have been caused there recently. I won't go into the details, but yeah, quite a frustrating day at work. And it was bloody hot as well, and I don't do heat. Well, especially actually I won't go into that story. Let's just say I had about 2 weeks ago I had a near-death experience because of the heat. Obviously I didn't die, but yeah, it could have gone a bit south, shall we say. But yeah, I had rubbish day at work, boiling hot. I thought, sod it, I'm going to go buy a big load of ice cream, and that will cool me down. And so I went to Tesco, and as I always do, took a little wander down the toy aisle while I was there. Got to be done, hasn't it? And I've been saying to Ray actually a few times lately that instantly green t-shirt. I've been saying to Ray a few times lately because he did a review of the Predacons Rising Skylinks, and that was one I really want. As soon as I saw all the photos for that range, that was the one that jumped out at me. And then I saw Ray reviewed it, and he was like, yeah, check Tesco Extras. Now, I have a Tesco Extra where I live. Unfortunately, they're pretty slow when it comes to getting stuff on the shelves. I don't know why, they just seem to be behind. But anyway, so go back to the story. I walked in, went to the toy aisle, and as I sort of went around the corner to where it is, I happened to walk there right at the time they were rearranging the toy section, because half the shelves were empty. But I walked round the corner, and they had literally just within the last few minutes prior to me getting there, put out the entire display of Predacons Rising. They didn't have all the toys. There's a few they didn't have, a few of the Legion 2-packs. But I was able to finally get this fella. There he is, and he is absolutely brilliant. As in terms of being a transformer, he's not the best. It's a very basic transformation, and it's kind of how he transforms how you'd expect something like this to transform, in that he essentially stands up and the hands spin around from animal hands to be robot hands, and nothing revolutionary or groundbreaking or anything nothing out of the ordinary. But what he does have, he has a fantastic paint scheme. I love this. It's kind of like obviously uses the colours of the original Skylinks, but in a sort of much darker tones, and I think that really really does a good job of both homaging the original and also sort of putting a new spin on, because obviously this guy is meant to be a Predacon, so he's different allegiance to the original. So I think they've done a really good job of this. So yeah, that made my day. Having had a really shitty day, and then to walk into the store and just I remember actually as I walked in, I went, well, I'll go and have a look. They won't have anything because they never bloody do. And then to my amazement, they had exactly what I've been looking for. So yeah, actually I did pick up as well as that one. I did pick up the Predaking and Optimus 2-pack. There we go. Picked up this one as well. Mostly for actually the Prime. I haven't got the normal Beast Hunters Prime Cyberverse toy yet. But I love the colour scheme on that one. I'm not sure what it's a reference to, because a lot of these exclusive ones pay some sort of homage to like older toys. Like you've got there's a set where you get Smokescreen in his G1 deco with one of the Terracons recoloured to look like Cindersaw, the old, the Sparker bot or whatever they were called. So I'm not sure what that homage is, because I don't recognise the paint scheme. So if anyone knows, I'd be interested to hear actually. But yeah, so yeah, absolutely, that brightened my day no end to have a really bad day, and then to find something that you've been looking for literally every day for weeks, going, oh, still haven't got it, and it basically got to the point where I'd given up that particular store would ever get it. I was thinking, I'm either going to have to start looking around stores in the sort of nearish area, or maybe at AA, I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, absolutely, in response to Dave's original question, topic, yes, absolutely, bot can definitely brighten your day. Yeah. So then I said that was going to be like the thing I wanted to talk about initially, and then Jim and Lee both touched on something which I've actually thought about in the past, and it was Jim that raised the point initially and said about how like the big toys were the ones your parents bought you, and the ones you bought you with your own money. I think it was when he reviewing. I think it was the his review of Pterosaur, the Basics Pterosaur, and he was saying that it's like the kind of bots that kind of size are the ones you bought with your own pocket money. And then kind of Lee kind of expanded on that a little bit and talked about how those kind of toys were quite often like alternate cast characters, and it just got me thinking really, because I've often found that the characters I'm more drawn to, certainly when I was younger, were those kind of not the spotlight characters. And in fact, that's why it was so unusual that I was sort of drawn to that Prime, because I was never really drawn to Optimus Prime as a kid. I had the original G1 toy, but it certainly wasn't one of my favourites. But I think I've even mentioned it before, I like kind of like the obscure characters, and I've never really been able to understand why that was. And it was Lee's point about how maybe the fact that those kind of characters were generally the cheaper toys, and therefore they're the ones you could buy yourself with your own money, and therefore perhaps you felt more attachment to that character. And I think he's absolutely right. I think that's absolutely spot on, because I didn't have a lot of the the cars from the. I always bought Autobots when I was younger, I think I own about 2 G1 Decepticons. Always like the Autobots. Don't know why. It's just always been that way. But I never owned many of the cars. I think I had a Jazz as a birthday present, and I managed to break him. But I would always get things like, you know, the mini boss. So I'd have Sea Spray and Warpath and Cliff Jumper and Wind Charger, and you know, those kind of characters. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to hand to use as visual props with this, because I'm at Mum and Dad's at the minute, and this is all my toys have moved to the new place, with the exception of the ones I just showed you, just because I brought them back with me earlier. But yeah, just going back to what I was saying just then, yeah, I absolutely agree in that. I think you feel more affinity to those kind of toys sometimes. It's probably not the same for everyone. But for me personally, I think the reason I quite often like, you know, the characters that they maybe have one episode where they were brought to the fore a bit. Like you had like the Girl Who Loved Power Glide, so you got a bit of Power Glide. There was that episode with, I can't think of the episode titles a lot of the time, where Sea Spray sort of featured heavily and he became a human or something, didn't he? And was it something to do with the lagoon? I can't remember. It's been a while since I watched any episodes. Beachcomber was another one. Yeah, it was just I was more drawn to those guys in the fiction, because those were the toys I was able to get. You know, I didn't get a lot of pocket money when I was younger. I'm not saying I was deprived or poor or anything like that, but I didn't get a lot of money, and I was really bad at saving my money. So I basically, as soon as I had it, I almost had to spend it. So I would never be able to afford the bigger bots, because I could just never get enough money together, because it would mean like buying nothing for like 2 months or whatever. I can't remember how much stuff cost back then, to be honest with you. But so those sort of became the kind of toys I would get for like just birthdays and Christmases, basically. And so yeah, they felt special in that way, because it was like, oh wow, you know, I've got something I can't normally get. But at the same time, it felt like you hadn't earned it, and I think that sort of develops a very strong sense of satisfaction. And also, yeah, it was quite an interesting point, really. I'd never really considered it that way before. So yeah, that was another point I wanted to talk about. What else was there? I'm sure there was one other thing. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. It's been a long day. I've been out playing airsoft all afternoon, and I'm absolutely knackered. So you have to forgive me if my brain isn't quite working at full capacity. Jim also asked, you know, about I forget exactly how he worded it, but he was talking about the positive effect. You know, what do you get out of YouTube doing, you know, making these videos? And he sort of told some very sort of a very personal story from his point of view about how it's helped him and stuff like that. And sort of tied into that point, Mike Orion Zero also said about, you know, basically every time he turns on the camera, he's basically inviting us into his home. And that was a really, really great point, actually. And he's absolutely right. I'd not considered it, but I think it actually goes a little bit beyond that as well. I mean, yeah, I'm inviting you by watching this video of me here into my personal space, but you're also listening to me. Well, I hope you're still listening to me. But you're listening to me. I'm not talking to anyone. I'm just talking to an inanimate object there. This isn't a two-way conversation happening live. So what I'm letting you in on here is kind of what's going on up in my head. You know, this is like an outlet for for the conversations you can't have perhaps during the day with other people. I'm quite lucky in that I work with Rob Inked Muscle 83, and so we our sort of daily routine is sort of get to work. We have our sort of staff allocation of work meeting, and then we'll go and have a can of Monster and chat for 20 minutes about Transformers. We're not supposed to, though, don't tell anyone that. But yeah, you know, some people are probably in a situation where there's no one they can have these conversations with, certainly not on a regular basis. I mean, I know that obviously there are, as people have become more connected through YouTube and people have met up more and more outside, you know, in the real world, as it were. But you know, I'm just sort of spewing forth whatever comes into my head. This isn't a conversation where I'm saying a few things and someone's saying something back to me, then I'm bouncing back off that again. We're doing it kind of indirectly, but it's kind of, like I said, like Mike said, he's inviting you to home, but we're also kind of inviting each other into each other's heads, really. And it's quite interesting just to see the different opinions on things. You know, it'd be very boring if we all liked exactly the same things, and all our toys were, you know, we all had the same favourites. I mean, there are things a lot of us virtually all agree on. I think about 99.99% of us will all agree that Transformers Primate Arachnid is a positively shit toy. But there's always exceptions. Mr. John 35. John actually likes that toy, and that's fair enough. That's his decision, and he's perfectly entitled to it. And I just think that's great, the fact that this kind of form of media offers that kind of opportunity for people to express their opinions and be heard by other people when perhaps they wouldn't otherwise have a platform for that to be the case. So I think, you know, in terms of what we get out of YouTube, I think we can all get something out of it, in that we have an opinion we all like to express, and I for one really enjoy hearing what you guys have got to say about all kinds of different things. It doesn't even have to be about Transformers sometimes. I mean, Gerard does his Strange Corner, and that's usually got absolutely nothing to do with Transformers whatsoever, but it's still really interesting and funny to watch. And it just, this whole thing kind of just opens up extra avenues really for lines of communication between people that otherwise potentially would never have that opportunity to converse and interact with each other. And I just think that can only be a good thing, can't it? Yeah, I think I've sort of reached the point where I've said everything I wanted to say tonight. I'll probably think of something after I turn the camera off. I usually do, or I could have worded something better. But you know, this was just, I've really enjoyed watching everyone's videos this week. It's been probably this whole time since I've been on YouTube, which is somewhere around a year or so. I think this past week, maybe 2 weeks, has possibly seen, I know it's AA season, it's the AA factor, but I just think the content that's sort of bouncing around at the minute is absolutely tremendous. I mean, people are putting out a video every 2-3 days, and it's not, it doesn't feel like it's just filler. It feels like it's, you know, really well constructed content and worth listening to. And I can't remember who said it. Was it Ray? I can't remember who said it, but someone said, you know, they hope this isn't just because of AA. And so I'm really hoping that we can kind of all carry this on, even though we've got what, 2 weeks today, we'll all be in the Hilton. Can't wait. But I sort of share that sentiment that let's try and carry this on past AA, so it's not just like a flash in the pan and then go back to the sort of more mundane, sparse content that we you can't be sort of banging videos out you know, every 5 minutes, 24/7. It just you'd burn yourself out. But it's just been really good to see the amount of discussion that's been going on this past few weeks. It's not just reviews, and while there's nothing wrong with reviews, they're, you know, quite interesting a lot of the time. That's why people do them, because a lot of the time we're watching a review of a toy we already know about, but it's just nice to hear someone's opinion on it. And you know, people talk about a few other things quite often amongst these reviews as well. But yeah, I've sort of gone off on a tangent here and just waffling. So yeah, let's wrap this up before it gets sort of into sort of very odd territory. So yeah, that's about it from me. Don't know what I'll do next. Depends what you guys come out with yourselves. So I'm off work this week to kind of finish moving all my stuff, and so hopefully by the end of the week, everything done and dusted, I can be in the new flat and everything will be good, and we'll be a week away from auto assembly and we'll all be properly hyped. So yeah, that's all from me tonight, guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.